What if love could shine even in the darkest moments? After surviving days of terror, 2DM is finally safe in Toan's arms, but their fight isn't over yet. As they share a tender kiss and dream of their wedding, the shadow of the mafia still looms. Ruthless men are hunting Diem, desperate to silence the only witness to their deadly secret. Will love and courage be enough to keep them alive? Stay with us, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more gripping love stories filled with danger, passion, and hope. Let's dive into their journey. After countless days of fear, darkness, and aching uncertainty, 2DM was finally safe, back in the embrace of the only person who could make her feel whole again, Toan. The evening sun was gently pouring golden light through the window of their little house on the hill, casting soft shadows that danced playfully on the wooden floor. The air was still and warm, as if the world itself was holding its breath, watching the two souls reunited at last. Toan stood across from Diem, his eyes fixed on her as though he was afraid that if he blinked, she might disappear again. She looked thinner than before, her cheeks a little pale, but her smile, that smile, was still as bright and tender as the day he first fell in love with her. For a few seconds, neither of them spoke. The silence between them wasn't heavy, instead, it was filled with the unspoken emotions, the relief, the happiness that words simply couldn't capture. Then, as if guided by a shared instinct, they stepped closer to each other. Toan reached out first, his fingers trembling slightly as they brushed a strand of hair away from Diem's cheek. His touch was gentle, like he was handling the most fragile treasure in the world. Diem's breath caught in her throat, her heart racing not from fear this time, but from the overwhelming comfort of his presence. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, tears of joy, of gratitude, of love. Their gazes locked, and in that magical moment, the world outside ceased to exist. There was no past, no danger, no haunting memories, only the two of them, standing there, rediscovering the warmth they had missed so desperately. Slowly, awkwardly but sweetly, Toan leaned in. Diem could feel her face warming up, her pulse thudding in her ears, but she didn't pull away. Instead, she closed her eyes and smiled, waiting for what was to come. Their lips met in a kiss that was soft at first, hesitant even, like two shy souls meeting for the first time again. But as the seconds passed, the kiss deepened, filled with all the emotions they had bottled up for days, longing, relief, affection, and an unmistakable, unbreakable love. Toan's hands found their way to Diem's waist, pulling her gently closer, while she rested her palms against his chest, feeling the steady, reassuring beat of his heart. When they finally parted, their foreheads rested against each other, both of them chuckling softly, a little embarrassed, but completely happy. Diem peeked up at Toan through her lashes and teased, "Was that supposed to be a welcome home kiss?" Toan laughed, his voice light and free, a sound Diem had missed so much. "No," he said playfully, "that was just the first. I'm planning many more, just to make sure you don't disappear again." They stood there for a while longer, swaying slightly in each other's arms, like an unspoken dance to a song only their hearts could hear. The sunlight bathed them in its warmth, and in that cocoon of peace, it felt like the universe had finally given them a moment of pure, untainted happiness. For Toan, holding Diem close was a reminder of why he had fought so hard, why he had never given up. And for Diem, being in his arms was all the proof she needed that no matter how cruel the world might be, their love, was strong enough to bring her home. Still wrapped in each other's warmth, neither of them wanted to let go, as if releasing even for a second might risk waking up from this beautiful dream. The air between them was thick with affection, and Toan, with his arms still firmly around Diem, looked at her with a softness that made her heart flutter. His fingers absent-mindedly traced small circles on her back, comforting and familiar. After a few quiet moments, Toan pulled back just enough to see her face clearly. "You know," he began, his voice tender yet playful, "I've been thinking about something every single night since you've been gone." Diem tilted her head, her eyes bright with curiosity. "What's that?" Toan smiled, the kind of smile that made her feel like the safest person in the world. "Our wedding. I keep picturing you in a beautiful white dress, walking toward me, smiling just like you are now. And I can't get it out of my head." For a moment, Diem was caught off guard. The thought of marriage wasn't new between them, but hearing him say it now, with such sincerity, after all the chaos, made her cheeks flush a gentle pink. She laughed softly, a delicate sound that made Toan's grin widen. "You're thinking about weddings at a time like this?" she teased, though her eyes sparkled with happiness. "Yes," he admitted, completely serious now. "Because if I've learned anything from these past weeks, it's that life is too unpredictable. I don't want to waste another second. I want us to build our life together, not tomorrow, not someday, soon. As soon as we're sure you're safe, I want us to start planning." Diem's heart swelled. She had always dreamed of a simple but heartfelt wedding, a day where all the pain of the past would be left behind, replaced by laughter, music, and the presence of loved ones. She imagined herself standing beside Toan, promising to share every sunrise and storm with him, hand in hand. The thought alone filled her with warmth she hadn't felt in a long time. "I'd like that," she whispered, her voice soft but sure. "I want to marry you, Toan." He kissed her forehead gently, as if sealing a promise. "Then it's settled. Once this madness is over, you'll be mine officially. We'll have the happiest day, just like we deserve." The two of them stood together, their imaginations running wild with scenes of their future wedding. They pictured delicate flowers lining the path, the sound of laughter from friends and family, and that unforgettable moment when their eyes would meet at the altar. For a while, it was just the two of them and their dreams, untouched by the dangers that still lurked outside. Yet despite the joy that buzzed quietly between them, neither of them could fully shake the shadow that hung over their happiness. They knew it wasn't over yet. The mafia, ruthless and persistent, was still out there. Somewhere, in the shadows, they were hunting, determined to find the woman who had witnessed too much. Diem might have escaped, but she was far from free. Sensing her unease, Toan squeezed her hand firmly. "Hey," he said, his voice low but full of conviction. "I promised I'd protect you, and I mean it. Whatever it takes, we'll get through this. You'll walk into that wedding without a single worry, I swear." Diem looked up at him, her heart torn between hope and fear, but seeing the strength in his gaze gave her courage. She nodded, a small but determined gesture. "We'll make it," she said, half to herself, half to him. "We have to." And in that little room, beneath the soft glow of the setting sun, they held each other tight, clinging to love, to dreams of a future together, and to the promise that no matter what waited outside those walls, they would face it as one. But as the sun dipped lower, casting longer shadows across the room, the gentle glow of their dream began to flicker under the weight of reality. No matter how tightly Toan held her, or how sweetly they spoke of the wedding, there was a darkness that neither of them could deny, the lingering danger that hadn't yet passed them by. Diem pulled back slightly, her gaze drifting to the window as if half expecting to see a dark figure lurking just beyond the glass. The image of that night in the forest was still vivid in her mind, the chilling scene of men digging feverishly, the hurried whispers, and the lifeless body they tried to bury beneath the soil. She had hidden, trembling, watching from behind a cluster of trees, praying not to be seen. But one of them had paused, his gaze scanning the trees with suspicion, and even though she'd escaped, she could still feel the weight of his stare chasing her in her nightmares. Toan noticed the change in her expression. His heart clenched as he watched her smile fade into worry. He gently cupped her face, bringing her focus back to him. "They won't find you," he whispered with certainty, though deep inside, he wasn't sure if that was a promise he could keep. "I'll make sure of it." But even as he spoke, he knew the Mafia's reach was long and relentless. Somewhere out there, they were combing the streets, the villages, searching for clues about the woman who had witnessed their crime. They didn't know who she was yet, just a shadowy figure fleeing through the trees, but it was only a matter of time before they put the pieces together. And when they did, Toan knew they would stop at nothing to silence her. In a dimly lit warehouse on the outskirts of the city, a group of men sat around a dusty table, maps and photographs spread out before them. At the center stood their leader, a cold-eyed man with a scar running across his cheek. He tapped his finger impatiently on a blurry photograph, an image captured from a roadside camera, showing a silhouette barely visible in the darkness. "She saw too much," the man growled. "If she talks, everything crumbles. I want her found. Dead or alive." His men nodded, their faces expressionless, already prepared to scour every village near the forest. There was no room for mercy, not in their world. Back in the safety of their small house, Toan and Diem sat together, formulating their own plan. Toan knew that hiding forever wasn't an option. He had already contacted a trusted friend within the police, someone he knew could help them, discreetly and effectively. They would need protection, and more importantly, they needed a strategy to expose the Mafia's crimes before the Mafia silenced Diem for good. I can't keep running, Diem said quietly, her fingers laced tightly with his. I don't want our lives to be a series of hiding places. I want to be free, Toan. I want to walk beside you without fear. He kissed the back of her hand and looked her in the eyes. And you will be. I swear to you, Diem, I'll fight them with everything I have. We'll bring them down. I don't care how powerful they think they are, they're not stronger than the truth. And they're definitely not stronger than us. Her eyes filled with a fierce light, her fear slowly being replaced by resolve. They weren't just victims anymore. They had each other, and together, they would face the storm head-on. Outside, the wind picked up, rustling the trees, as if the world itself was warning them of the trials ahead. But inside that little home, love and determination burned brighter than any shadow that dared to approach.